Okay, so let's look at 19 through 22. So what we have is, remember the general equation, y is equal to c plus a sine b x minus d. C is vertical translation, a is the amplitude, b is the period, which is 2 pi, or b gets us the period, which is 2 pi over b, and d is our phase shift. So if we look at A, so all of these, none of these have a vertical translation. So for all of these, C is going to be 0. So for the first one, A, we have an amplitude of 2, so we have y is equal to 2 sine. Period is pi over 2. Now remember, we need to find B, so 2 pi over B is equal to pi over 2. We solve that and we get B is 4. So we get 4, then we got x minus 3/4. So if we simplify that, we get y equal to 2 sine 4x minus 3, which is 22. So 22 is A. Oops, let's get that in there. There we go. Okay, B, so we have y is equal to 3. Again, the period is 2 pi over b, which is pi. So b is going to be 2. So sine 2x, and then the phase shift is 2. So we get 3 sine 2x minus 4. And that's B, so 19 is B. C, so let's see here. So that's B, this is A. C, we have amplitude of 4, so y is equal to 4 sine, again, 2 pi over B is equal to 2 pi over 3. So B is 3. So we get 3x minus 2/3. So we get 4 sine 3x minus 2. So C, that's 21. And then obviously 20 is going to be D, but let's go through it. So we got D here. So we've got y is equal to 2 sine. Period is also 2 pi over 3, so 2 pi over b. We already did this one in the last one, but 2 pi over 3, so b is 3. So we have 3x minus 4 over 3. So 2 sine 3x minus 4. So that's D. Now the last problem we have, problem 29, which is where you get to do the drawing. So we've got 29, which is y is equal to 2 sine x plus pi. Now again, remember, y equals c plus a sine b x minus d. So if we write that in that form, we've got, I'm just going to put it in, you don't have to, but I'm going to put in 0 plus 2 sine 1 x minus pi. Okay, and again, because this guy, it's x minus d. So now, here we go. This is what we did in class. A, B, C, D, and then the interval. So A is 2, so amplitude is 2. B is 1, so the period 2 pi over 1, which is obviously 2 pi. C is 0, so no vertical translation. And D is minus pi, so we have a phase shift to the left, pi. Interval, remember, is period over 4, so it's 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2. Okay, so we have no vertical translation, which means the middle of my curve is the x-axis. I start at minus pi. Okay, unlike the other curves where we're starting at the x-axis, we're starting at minus pi. We have a sine curve, which means we start in the middle, go up, down, and up, and then same thing here, up, down, and up. Okay, now my intervals where I peak, cross the middle, peak, cross the middle, cross the middle, peak, cross the middle, peak. Now, each one of these, here's my interval, pi over 2. So each one of these is going to be pi over 2, but remember, we're not starting at 0, we're starting at minus pi. So what I've got here is I've got minus pi and then plus pi over 2. That's my starting point. Everything is shifted, so even pi over 2 is shifted. Then we got minus pi plus 2 pi over 2, minus pi plus 3 pi over 2, and minus pi plus 2 pi. Going the other way, it's the same thing, except it's going to be negative, so minus pi minus pi over 2, minus pi minus 2 pi over 2, minus pi minus 3 pi over 2, and minus pi minus 2 pi. The last thing we need to do is find the y-axis. You'll notice that the y-axis is where this where we transition from positive to negative, or negative to positive, and that's going to be right here, because pi minus pi plus pi is 0. So that's where that is. Now I can go ahead and mark my amplitude, which is 2, so that's up 2 and down to minus 2.